got a couple quick announcements. There are great shows here every weekend at Helium. Upcoming is J.P. Sears, Kevin Nealon, Maria Bamford. Every Tuesday is the open mic, and then if you guys want to try comedy, you think you're very funny, there's the Portland's Funniest Person contest. You sign up, you get to bring all your friends and show everybody how funny you are. Or you don't have to do that at all. You can just come and watch. Or you can enjoy summer this summer. Who the fuck cares, you know? Either way. With all that out of the way, you guys ready for your headliner? Yeah? SNL, Netflix, he doesn't need really any introduction. Give it up, MacDonald, everyone!
Hey, listen, thanks. It's great to be here. This is really nice, it's exciting, you know, and it's fun to be in the, I want to say Portland, you know, Rip City, you know, Portland. You guys really think fucking something of yourselves here, huh? A guy drives me, right, and everything in Portland is like, hey, look at me, I'm good, you know, like even the doors, like I was walking by a door, you know what I mean? And it's painted on the door, it says, hey, come on in, you know, we welcome you, we love you, you know, we invite you to come in, whether you're trans or whether you're gay or whether you're black, doesn't matter about your religion or your creed or anything, we welcome you here, you know, which I thought was really, you know, it was kind of heart warming a little bit and courageous, you know, here in 1954. It's kind of a... May as well just write down, we observe the law. We're not going to be, our racism is not going to be so much that we break the law. We're gonna, and then what you say? Then you say, you know, you can't help yourself. You walk by and you see just a door, and you go, those racist motherfuckers. Everybody in their story, you know? I don't understand. You know. The guy drives me from the airport, right? He's a driver, and he drives me from the airport to my hotel. And he's telling me, there's no racism in Portland. He's like, there's no racism. I'm like, wait a second, like, you know, this is like the hearts of man, you know what I mean? Like, no racism. And then I was looking around, I couldn't see any black people, you know? So I said to the guy, I said, you say it's not a racist town, and yet there's no black people. I mean, how can you even tell if you're racist? If you don't even, there's no black people. Then he says, we got our share. I'm like, racist. I don't mean to generalize, but my God, everyone I've had ever. And I used to live like way far away, like over, you know, and I would go to the city when I was a kid, I was like 15 or something like that. And my parents lived way out in the suburbs, so I'd have to I'd have to drive through this wilderness with a cabbie that was deeply racist. And then what do? You know, the guy, suppose the good thing if you were a good person is argue with the guy, try to change his mind, you know, but I'm drunk, I've got to get home, you know what I mean? I don't want to be on crossfire all of a sudden for an hour and a half with this fucking guy. And, you know, it's not good because then he thinks I agree with him because, you know, whatever he says, I'm like, no, you're right. He had the right idea the whole time. But let me off over here, you know what I mean? Like, and one guy I had, he said a thing. Do you remember a guy that he says you don't know what who you're supposed to hate? Like it's too confusing. Because you're not, I don't know every racial epithet. I try. I try to keep up. I don't know every racial epithet. So there's one guy who says to me, it was a doorman, he goes, you know what the problem is in the world nowadays? I said, is it a group of people? Yeah, you're goddamn right. You hit the nail on the head there, buddy. I said, what group of people is it anyway? He goes, well, you know it as well as I do. It's the goddamn brindleheads. And I was like, oh, yeah? Because I have to be told who to hate. I don't know brindle. So I looked up brindle, and it was a weird definition. It didn't have any way to be on someone's head, and I didn't know. I couldn't tell. And it still plagues me this day because part of me thinks, what if they really are the problem? I don't know who they are. What about guys, they try too hard, not to be racist? You know what I mean? Like they'll go, I don't care if a guy's black or white or brown, yellow, green. I'm like, whoa, green, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's such a thing as being too progressive. A green person, clearly a Martian. You gotta shoot him on sight. Because if you don't shoot him, he dematerializes you because their guns are better, I was thinking of dematerializing, and I'll tell you this. Boy, there's a draft here. Man, I'm an old man. I'll tell you something. When you start talking about drafts, how does this look? Is this a good look? I remember my dad would say, oh, God damn it, there's a draft in here. And I go, God damn, you're an old man. Now I got it. I'm an old man now, too. How about that? Son of a bitch. I became an old man. I don't try to hide it, though. I don't dye my hair or nothing like that. I don't get any Botox, nothing like that. Because I want, I feel like God gives us little signs, you know what I mean? And,
chunk of coal.
When he makes your hair completely white, that's a signal. He's telling you, that get your affairs in order, See, I've killed your hair. Your hair is dead. It's white. It's dead white. Behind the beautiful skyline of, Portland. Isn't that something? It's like the window to outside. It's supposed to pretend that, and yet the ocean comes right up to the front. That's not right. I just noticed across the bridge is the Helium Comedy Club. We all know that, of course, two places can't exist. Be the same place. Thermodynamic law. Second law, fuck around with that. But I never took law, Boy, it's wild. You look at that? I'm retreating a little. It looks like I'm afraid, but I see it's just these people. I don't want them to get gypped. You know what I mean? How are you guys? Why should they? You guys get to see me there. Why should they have to just look at my fucking hot, beautiful asshole? I got a sweet, beautiful asshole. Here's something you don't hear. Here's something you don't hear very often. Yeah, they say everybody's the same every sexuality is the same and all that. Here's something though that I've never heard. I don't know. This would seem odd on the ear if I heard this. I would, you know what I would love? I would really like to make love to you up your ass. Sound odd to me. Listen. We're obviously going through a cultural shift in this country, you know, and it's a seismic one. You know, trying to get equality for everybody, and here's the way I see it, just on the grand scale. I think there's two big problems that are finally being addressed in the society. Now, one problem is that we live in an evil patriarchy that benefits no one except straight white males. That's a big problem. Now, here's another big problem. I'm a straight white male. I don't want to shake things up that much. A little bit. I want to shake things up a little bit, you know. But some people say, hey, Norm, you know, you've had your turn, you know, with all your privilege, you know, why don't you let the kids, you know, the children are the future after all. What about the kid? Now, I have a kid, and he's a straight white male. Hello, I'm only guessing. He could be a gay lady. I don't know. We used to know things that we don't know anymore. Here's a phenomenon. Everyone has opinions now. You know what I mean? Fucking motherfucker. You'll find this out. Now that the election is coming, everybody be asking your opinion, right? Now, when I was young, we didn't have a lot of opinions. You know, people maybe had 6-8 opinions. And most of them are about food, to be honest with you. But now you're expected to have an opinion about every goddamn thing. Like a guy just come up to you and go, hey, how do you think the Dow Jones will react to the upcoming problem in the Gulf of Tonkin? And then you're like, I don't want to. I'm a guy that walks down the street wearing a hat. You know who you're talking to? You think I wrote a book or something? On the Gulf of Tonkin or something like that? Yeah, just a fella. A fella with a hat, that's all. Red Bull, yeah, that's true too. Red Bull and a hat, you know. But that doesn't make much of a world view. On the other hand, we used to know things. We don't know things anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was young, I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I'm a little girl. I'm pretty sure. And he said, wait a second, I thought you had a cock. Now you got. That's just to illustrate how hateful we were back then. My dad now. He was a completely hateful man, I gotta say. People are complicated. My dad, when he had me, was 50, you know what I mean? So he was almost like my grandfather. He was in the Second World War. He fought Hitler, you know what I mean? So, you know, that a person can be good and yet evil. Because, you know, he was good, he fought Hitler. He was evil, he thought a child with a cock was a boy. Now, of course, that sentence sounds insane. Hateful people. But I don't know, you know, it's, you just go around pretending you know things and try to sound like the next fella. And try not to get in trouble. Took the airplane in here from Las Vegas, Nevada. And what a trip that was, I'll tell you, boy. There was a lot of turbulence. It was frightening, you know. And, got scared. I always fly in the exit rows, you know, because I like the exit rows. And the exit rows are great because you know, you get extra leg room and they're free. You know, all you have to do to get them is lie. You have to lie. You have to lie to the stewardess comes up to you, not stewardess, but flight attendant comes up to you. Words change, you know what I mean? When I was young, if you were a flight attendant and you were a lady, we called you a stewardess. You know, and if you were a flight attendant and you were a gentleman, we called you, well, you know, anyway. I didn't say it. I don't know what you guys think. I didn't say it. But anyways, you've got the, you know, they come up and they go, yes, we're having the exit row. Would you mind, you know, if we crash and the white, black smoke, you know, races down to choke the life out of you? Would you mind just letting other people out first? And then they say, we need it verbally, because that's binding somehow, you know. So you go, yes! You know, sometimes you say, I tend to lie, I over-lie. Yes! You know. Yes, yes, I would like to do that. I was going to ask you if I could do that. It's kind of coincidental, all right? I was going to ask you. I think it's well worth the extra 3 inches to just you after, please. I'll scrabble down the wing for my life after everyone else is there. But you know, they give you little warnings, but they're meaningless, you know. They go, oh, the oxygen mask will fall down. Make sure you breathe it into yours before your child. You go, well, that was my plan. Don't fucking plan. And then they go, oh, and by the way, your seat cushion is a boat. Don't have to worry about that, you know. They say a flotation device, which of course is no such thing. A flotation device is a boat. But they realized how retarded it would sound to pretend your seat was a boat. But of course it never happens, you know. You never go like, oh, the plane went down and the Pacific Ocean, but don't worry, folks. You know, everybody's floating around on their boats. The plane goes down at such a speed. This is what stuns me about physics. Plane hits it, whatever it hits, 900, 1,000 miles an hour, and it obliterates it. It just turns everything to stuff. Like, if you're a human being, you're no longer, like, you're dematerialized, like the Martian's gun, you know? You're stuff. Like, they can show a picture, if they have an airplane, right? They'll just take a helicopter and take videos of it, and then people take pictures. You know why? Because you never see anyone. Like, you can't take a picture of a car accident, because people are like that. But 370 people on a plane just take pictures, and no one's like, there's no one there. It's stuff. It's just a plain load of stuff. That's all they find. They call it remains, you know, because it's a romantic sound. You know, oh, the remains of the day. Remains of sand, you know. And it's not like they're going to find. And of course, your relatives want your remains, you know, because that. They just need closure, and that's part of closure. You know what I mean? They go, God, oh my God, I can't get to sleep. I've been awake for 4 days. Every time I go to sleep, I think of young Sam and his last moments and the horror he must have gone through. If only I could see his remains. Then I could finally have a good night's sleep. You know, just get this whole thing behind me if I could see a bag of his remains. And of course, they're not going to get your exact remain. No, they're not going to go, oh, look at that silver blonde hair. By golly, I bet that's Agnes's. Didn't somebody have a piece of her wrist bone earlier? Let's put that together here over here. They got no time for that, man. They've got a job to do. They got to get the stuff, get going. Hey, lights burning. Let's go, boys. You know, they find your ID. Go, look at this here. It says, fellow named Norm, go by Norm MacDonald, says weigh 190 pounds. Shovel 190 pounds of stuff. Come on, let's go. Say that to his mother. His mom wants to look at that. Big camera at that. It's going to help her sleep. And then my mother gets it, goes, excellent. Look, it's Norm's, the remains. Norm, I remember him having 3 eyeballs. I guess we never really knew him. Sometimes you survive. You know, sometimes you survive an airplane crash. But when you do survive an airplane crash, God's little joke, he lets you survive the airplane crash, but it's in the Andes. It's the only time you ever survive it, because God likes to, you to wrestle with the moral dilemma of whether you should consume a fellow human being. It's always a lot of fun in the Andes. Days turn to weeks, and weeks turn into, can I do it, You should be prepared. You should know what you're going to do should these scenarios, you know what I mean? Like if I'm on an airplane, I feel any turbulence at all, I go, I'm eating that fucker in 4F. That guy looks delicious. Fat guy in first class, I'll eat that fucker. And then the plane would crash, I'd drag him behind a snowbank. And a few weeks later, when they're having their big discussion, what should we do? I'd be like, crap. Then they gorge, They're like, I start eating. That's what you wait 2 weeks, Of course. Never gorge. Any nutritionist will tell you, you're supposed to, it's called grazing. You wake up, you have a small portion of co-pilot. And you wait a little while longer. But I'm against cannibalism. Not in those situations. Those are very, severe situations. I'm just talking about regular day-to-day situations. I have a lot of views that aren't popular. Like I'm for the wars. I'm always for the wars, but I'm against the troops. I'm anti-choice, you know what I mean? And, it's not because I believe that the fetus is a human being. I don't. I think the fetus is just nothing. It's just food. And I don't think potential life is realized life. I don't think there's any. I don't think you're doing anything with abortion. But I'm very much against women having the right to choose what they do with their own body. The reproductive system. I'm against it. Boy, how'd they ever get the vote, huh? Like, honest to God, how the fuck did they ever get the vote? There's a bunch of guys sitting around. Go, hey, how about we give a vote to women? Why the fuck would we ever do that? There must have been a certain period in American history where everybody just pussy whipped like crazy. I don't know how they ever gave that. But I'll tell you though, it's a wonderful day. There's going to be an election coming up here in the United States of America. It's really going to be something. And I heard today, I don't know if you've heard, it's pretty big news. This upcoming election is going to be the most important one. They come out and they tell you they're, a lot of prison reform. That's a big one. They gotta change that around. Because here's the problem, though. Like a thing like prison reform. It's not the prisoners that are behind this. It's people like them that are doing it for the prisoners, like do-gooders. You know what I mean? They've never been in prison. How could they be? They're do-gooders. Do-badders, they're the guys in prison. The do-gooders, they don't go to prison. They think, oh, what's good for the prisoners? Instead of just asking the prisoner. So they go, oh, well, here's the wrong thing about what's going on in our prisons is that there's too many minorities, compared to the majority. It's just not, it doesn't make any sense, young black men are being imprisoned at a terribly wrong rate. And also, people are in there on minor drug charges, like nonviolent offenses, and they stay in there far too long. And these are the problems with prisons, and this is what must be reformed. Now, let's say you said, okay, let's ask the prisoners. We'll send a little poll, a little question. We'll say, prison needs reform. What reform would you like in the prison? And they can write down two. The top two. And I guarantee you, they would not get past one. Because they live in the prison, and they would get back okay, we got 200 pieces of paper back from all the prisoners. They seem to all be in unison. It's the ass fucker. Number one on everybody. Most people just left number two blank. That's the one. The guy didn't even tell you when he's sending you to prison. He doesn't go like, oh, by the way, you're going to get raped every day. Like let's say, why are you even afraid of going? Why do you even do your taxes? So you don't go to prison. Why do you not go to prison? What are you afraid of? Do you think people have to go to prison next week are like, oh God, how am I going to survive the lack of freedom? Oh my God, how am I going to survive being locked in a cell and not seeing the sun and reading books, working out, barbells? What you're thinking is like, does it get any better after the verse 500 times? Maybe somebody would leave me their belt. Dirty little secret. Not even a secret, everybody knows, but nobody cares, because they're just prisoners. They go, let them get fucked. They deserve it, but they don't deserve it, because it's the guys that deserve it are the guys that are raping them, Not the bad guys. Because that's how you get that's how you get power. Listen, the Me Too movement? Wait till it hits the prison system. Find some bad stories in there. Because as bad as we are out here, you know, we are bad, but you know, men use like power to get sex, right? But in the prison, it's the opposite. They rape in order to get power. Like that's how they're, you know, that's how. Oh boy, nobody is looked on with more reverence in a prison system than the best raper. God damn, look at this Tyrone. He's the raper's raper there. He rapes other rapers. I already raped the warden once. But how about changing that? That'd be, you know, what I'd like to see change. In the prison, they always go, we can't do anything about it. You know, they have drugs in prison. They do drugs. They rape each other. What can we do about it? You know, you're like, what can you do about it? They have bars. They live in like a room that with steel bars around, and you have guns. You know what I mean? Like you have guns that you carry around. So one idea could be to go, hey, no, hey, hey! That's simple. Sometimes things are too simple. Okay, here's a draft back here, I'm saying. I'm an old man, boy, I tell you that. But it's all right, you know. It's all right to be old. And the great thing about being old is that you were young, you know. Young people are only young. That's why. Whenever I talk to a young person, I'm like, they're like, I'm young. I'm like, yeah, but I'm old and I was young. Drop them, you know. How about young people that think they have ideas? Aren't they? You ever find yourself arguing with a 19-year-old? That's a lot of fun. You're like, well, I'd like to continue arguing with you, but I just realized that 12 years ago you were 7. Maybe I'll stop arguing with you. Hey, how about this election, though, huh? I mean, this is going to be the first election where, you know, the issues will be so diverse, you know. Of course, everybody's talking about the energy crisis, you know. And, I have a solution to the energy crisis. I say, why not go to Capitol Hill and you can just bottle up all the hot air coming out of there. It wouldn't work, you know, because hot air coming out of Capitol Hill really it just means, you know, lies, you know. Of course, that could be used to fuel out of it. Yeah. There's some wild things going on. When a candidate comes out, you know, and they're coming out now, like Joe Biden. I don't know if you follow him. He got in a little trouble. He massaged he was sweet to a lady. Terrible. But there was a lady, you know, was running for Congress, and she was kind of nervous, so he massaged her neck, told her it was going to be all right. And she said, well, it was not sexual. She wanted to make this clear that Joe Biden was not being sexual and not violent. But she said it was gross. It's an insult based, it kind of had that. By that logic, I could sue all my great aunts and grandmothers. I still remember every one of those kisses. Not a lot of fun. You get through it. You know. And I think this lady will get through it. You know, that's right. I I think she'll get through having the vice president wish her well. Sometimes it takes time to get through those painful chapters. I really believe in people. But there's going to be a lot of people coming out and saying, you know, I've already seen a couple of these ads. You know, they're trying to get smart people at the start of an election cycle, so they'll be very calmly like, you know, gal, come on, or a lady. They'll do a commercial, you know, and they'll say, listen, if you want to hear my views on immigration and how I would handle it, as well as the terrible opioid crisis, as well as children having to start their lives hundreds of thousands of dollars in debts after school, well, you can come and visit my website, and I have a policy paper there. It's 35 pages long, and then I go, oh, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna read it. You seem like a nice enough fella, and I don't mean to insult you or anything like that, but I will not be reading your policy paper. And I'll tell you why. I found out earlier today that I only get the one life. So I have 2 seasons of Matlock next to my couch. Cardboard box. So you can't do everything, you know. You know, you don't know everything. That's the problem. You don't know a lot of stuff. You know, they'll sometimes you see that other people don't know too, and you're not as bad. Like they always have ads on CNN or something like that. You know, and there'll be a question like, "Do you believe that the upcoming G7 conference will affect the Gulf of Tonkin?" You know, and then it'll have at the end of the program, it'll show you the results of the poll. They'll do it in a pie chart, which is cool for obvious reasons. And so Atlantis will say like 45% yes, that'll be a big piece of the pie. 45% no, another big piece of the pie, and then a small piece of the pie, 10%. I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that, I'll tell you. You know, I'm a sucker for those polls, and I'll phone in anytime I see my phone in. Yes, excuse me, is this the TV? Listen. You asked a question. Okay, listen. I don't know. I say I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question that you asked. Hey, but I got a question for you. How about that? I turn the tables on you, Sam. What do you think of that, pal? Okay, here's my question to you. What did the second word mean in your question to me? It's fun being on a pie chart, though, I'll tell you that. I drank Red Bull, you know. Here's the thing, I was looking at this, I just thought. They say that when you're really picking the president, you know how you think? You think you ever hear like, you know about having 2 brains? You got your conscious brain, then you got another one behind it. It's psychology, you know. So you got your one brain that does simple arithmetic. And then you got your other brain way back here, it's doing shit, you know, fucking all kinds of shit. It's not even asking you permission, making decisions. So when you pick the president, right, you think you're using your brain with the math and shit, figure everything out. You pick the person you'd most rather have a beer with. Isn't that interesting? And which kind of, in a way, tells you a lot about the last election, because who the fuck would want to have a beer with Hillary, you know? The longest period of life. But how fun would it be to have beer with Donald Trump? Just be all drunk. a picture. This guy, what's that? Hey, he grabs him by the pussy. Whoever thought of that, huh? Here's the thing, actually. I'll be honest with you. I was a celebrity. I was on the TV. I remember that tape. And, you know, I don't think it's like that girl from Full House, you know? She got her kid into Yale or something, right? I don't know. She's Full House. I was on TV, you know? My kid is like a retard, so I didn't know there was this service, you know what I mean? Believe me, I love my boy. I would have put him in, but I put him in a retard school, and that was every school costs a fortune, even the really bad. But yeah, I never took advantage of any of that, you know, like the grabbing the pussy thing. I didn't know. Nobody told me that. You know, it's not like they tell you when you become a celebrity, oh, you grab women by the pussy, and they're cool with it. My routine was always this, you know, when I was a celebrity and trying to get ladies. So my goal was, I'd see a lady, I'd go, man, I'm going to try to get her to let me lie down on top of her. So I'd work on it, you know. I'd buy her a beefsteak, you know. Tell her compliments, I'd tell her about her hair and stuff, how nice it was, and how I like her bangs and stuff. All kinds of stuff. Just compliment her, I'd give her diamonds, you know, handfuls of diamonds. And then finally, take about 6 weeks, but finally, she would not let me lie down. And I'd go home, you know, and be sad. You know. But sometimes it worked. I'd say I stopped counting at about 8. But I think it was 9. I think I got 9 ladies to lie down, and I think that's real low for a celebrity. It's a low number, you know. But part of it is I don't know. I guess I'm not like I'm not like if I just meet a person and they hug me, I'm like, you know, like because I don't know the person that well. Like with my cat, you know, I could, or my mother, I hug her like that. But just a strange, like someone I met at lunch, you know, 4 hours later, I can't be lying on top of her. I don't even think I could get my pants off. I mean, I remember one time I was a one-night stand, and I wasn't drunk, you know. And I don't know if you've ever gone to a one-night stand dead sober, but oh my God. It's not a lot of fun. And, so anyway, this girl was into it for some reason. Now, there's another thing. When a girl is into sex, boy, that's frightening, isn't it? Because, you know, most ladies, you lie on top of them, and God bless them, they let you, you know, run around there for a while. They really are, you know, wonderful to go along with it, but it's unpleasant. It's highly unpleasant. And then once in a while you'll run into a woman who likes sex, and boy, that is terrifying. Like, it's disgusting. Boy, sex is disgusting. I'm always amazed at the bed. You know, the bed in your bedroom is the site of 2 things at the same time. It's where you sleep, you know, and escape the hell of life, you know. You just dream of jelly rolls. That's also the scene of just the most, I can't even describe it, but you know what goes on. I'm sure you've been party to it once in a while yourself. And, I'm not putting any judgments on anybody, but it's pretty bad stuff. But you do your best, you know. It's a young man's game, you know. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it when you're old, you know what I mean? Make a fool of yourself, I'll tell you that. Like they always go, you know, you ever meet guys, oh, you should meet my great aunt and uncle. They're 85 years old, but they still have a wonderful sex life. I go, how about I never meet them? How about I create an app every time they're nearby, I vanish. Imagine you're 85, you know, it's hard enough to get an erection, you know. At any age, but 85 years old. 85 years old, you're trying to maintain an erection, attain an erection, and maintain an erection. Now, I'll tell you what doesn't help at all is an 85-year-old woman. You're like, Gertrude, could you go over there? That's what booze is for. That's what's tough about not drinking, you know. Because booze allows you to do filthy wrong things, not understand that they're wrong. But nobody's perfect. No, I don't lie down on top of ladies, but I still lie down with myself. You know, and that's some say it's just as bad. Here's what I find out about when you lie down with yourself. Think of the psychosis you have to somehow create, right? In order to believe something's happening that's not happening, right? All the way to the extreme, so you'll actually have some sort of issue, you know. And you imagine how I mean, man, paranoid schizophrenics have a tough time getting to that level of dissonance, you know. Guys have to do that. I'm not talking about women. You know, guys have to create an exact scenario in their head when they're lying down with themselves. Like they can't be lying down with themselves, and in their thought bubble is them lying down with themselves. Not even those guys on the top of mountains with big white beards, they can't do that. They need to have a scenario. And I'm just talking about guys. Women are different. I've asked them, I said, what do you do? You know, what do you think of when you lay down with yourself? You know, the girl's like, the wind. You're like, oh. They're more advanced. You know, a hammock. They'll say a hammock. Well, when women lay down with themselves, how about the speed of their forefinger? Good God, what kind of blur is that? It's like going so fast. You're like, what the fucking Christ? And then you're like, what was I doing? Because you know, you're like, how about this? They doing anything for you at all there, Gertrude? So I end up just stroking her hair. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, Gertrude. Don't you worry about it. So I need to think of two. This is what guys need to think of: an exact scenario. And you know, it's hard. You know what I mean? I haven't got a great imagination. You know? Some guys can do it. They can lay down with themselves and think about Victoria's Secret's models or Playboy Playmates or something like that. But I can't do that. I'll be like, because I've tried it before. And in my head, I'm like, all right, why don't you take off your lingerie? I'll show you a lingerie. I don't know why I need to. In regular life, I'm very nice. Try to trick them into letting me lie down on top of them. In my thing when it's just not real, I guess I know they're not going to say anything. So I'm like, why don't you? I'll show you underwear right now. And then she goes, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh yeah, why would you? Sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. So I can't keep the believability up because I know deep down, you know, they're not going to want anything to do with me. Now it's different though. Maybe I can't get the Victoria's Secrets model. Maybe I can't get the Playboy bunnies. What about that lady that works in the 7-Eleven down the street from me? Not that easy on the eyes, I'll give you that. But she's a large lady, I'll tell you. She could lose 200 pounds, still be a large. I'll be honest with you. But she likes me. That's the important thing. I know she likes me because I was getting the sour cream and onion chips one day. And I put them down, and she goes, I love sour cream and onion chips. I go, oh, that's cool. She goes, no, I really love them. And I look up, I'm like, seeing her eyes. So then I go home. So then for the next like 2 or 3 months, I'm doing the most disgusting things with her. Like, if she had known, she'd be horrified, you know, but there's no way she could know, you know. And, but I always felt guilty whenever I go get something. I go, here's my sour cream and onion. She go, how are you doing anyway? I'm like, nothing, whatever, just But the part I'm interested in, though, is the moment between when the psychosis is in full fever and then it breaks. You know, the fever breaks once this 4 seconds of little happens, you know. These few drops that search so desperately for. Once they finally fall, die. Then what happens, you know, because all of a sudden everything shifts, all reality shifts, because you got her, you know, you're like, come on in here, they give you a break, huh? The 7-Eleven, why don't you come in here? What did you bring with you? Was that a friend of yours? Yeah, bring her in. Oh yeah, I recognize her, she works there too. All right, let's go. You know, all this stuff. And then finally it's over, and that's the moment. Man, it's an odd moment. You're like, There's nobody here. It's just me. All alone, just me alone. I get a hold of myself. I know, I'll go downstairs, make a cheese sandwich. Pretend this never happened. Never mention it again. And then I know, But you try to do your best.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Lovely crowd, I'll tell you that. It's nice. You know, this is one of my favorite plays. I love Portland. I was going to move here, you know, except for the rain.
Yeah.
I kind of got to me. I was thinking of it. Especially up, you ever been to Bend?
Yeah.
I caught a fish there. I don't know if the best stories, but I do have one tale though when I caught a fish in Bend. And that's the entire story. Now where are you? Are you from Portland, Oregon? New York City. And you're from Washington. Washington's pretty close to you, huh? And what brought you from New York City to Portland, Oregon? An airplane? Well, I'm not that funny. I'm not going to pretend there was 100 posts going through my head. Sometimes guys will do that. Go, I'm not even touching that one. It's because they have no thought. Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you. Hopefully you're not as funny as this one. Are you guys from Portland, Oregon? Let me ask you that. Are you guys from Portland, Oregon? Wait a minute. Do you work for Nike? You work for Nike? And what's your job over there at Nike? You do it? You do digital commerce. That's cryptocurrency. Digital commerce is cryptocurrency. And for those of you who don't know a whole bunch of stuff like me, what that means is crypto, that's from the Latin dead, and currency is from the English currency, and it means dead currency. So you work in that? And so let's say I wanted to go and buy a pair of shoes, a pair of Air Jordans and stuff. How much dead currency would that cost? Like if I just said, I want the best shoe. By the way, what does a pair of Air Jordans cost now, just in American money? $150? So it's about stayed about the same for all these years, hasn't it? Because I used to buy a different pair of Air Jordans every month. And here's what's happened right now. First of all, it ended like 20 minutes ago. And the light's still on, whatever. I have a little routine before I do stand up, before I go on stage. A little thing that relaxes me. And sometimes I don't do it exactly right because it has to be exactly right. What I do is I take a little bit of gin, like that much gin. I just take a taste of that, and then I drink my Red Bull. And then I eat a big handful of LSD. I went to see the psychiatrist. These psychiatrists, about the two brains, what that's about. He was trying to tell me, like, let's say you have a brain here. You have another brain here. Like, I was at dinner with my friend, this guy, he's all into psychology, right? So I had a glass of milk, right? I had a glass of milk. And this guy goes, you know why you're drinking that milk, don't you? And I said, well, it's not because I like milk, I know that. Because I know this guy's tricks, right? He says, no, it's because you want to suck your mother's breast. So, why did you say something like that? Now, you don't know my mother's, she's a saint, you know what I mean? I mean, she's just a wonderful woman. She's the kind of woman, I don't think they'll ever exist anymore. I'm sure you guys all know this type of woman from a different generation, and this cultural seismic shift we're going through. It's going to change all that. For the better. Of course, we all know it's for the better, but it has erased just one type of woman, you know. Wasn't that a wonderful type of woman? You all know that woman, you know. My mother was like that, you know. She always the last to eat, you know. She'd be in the kitchen, making sure everybody had second. She put a little into a plate for herself. Everything is what everybody else. You guys, are you all right? You need any more gravy? Oh, the turnips! Getting everything ready, you know, and just her eyes would shine with love, you know. She's still with us. She's, you know, no irony has ever shown up even as a fleck in any of her speech. She's a wonderful lady. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh, I know. I don't want to suck her tits. I reject it. I reject this guy's idea wholesale. And then I'm at dinner with him. Now I got the glass of milk. I can't start guzzling it down. Whatever. So my psychiatrist. Oh, by the way, when I was having this dinner with the milk, right? Get this. It comes time for him to order. What does he order? 2 meatballs and a banana. I'm like, hey. It goes. So my psychiatrist, I go to the psychiatrist, and this guy, what a broken record sketch. All he ever says, this is him, this is my version of him, stop taking fistfuls of LSD before every show. And I like how he's the expert. I mean, you should see this guy. He's a 4-foot blue giraffe. He doesn't even have spots, you know. Not tall. He knows all about LSD, though. See, he's studied all those melting books behind him. How are you, buddy? What do you do here in Portland? Yeah. Oh, you're a public school teacher. That's what my mom did. What grade? Preschool through 6. And what were the best ones? Preschool. They're the dumbest. No, I just mean, doesn't it get progressively harder? Like, if you teach like grade 1, you just need a grade 2 education. So it's kind of, you need more than that. You know, you need a way with the children and all that. You don't know how to teach. But I'm just saying, stuff you have to learn. All the way to grade 6. They start getting troublesome in grade 6. You know, in preschool. Yeah, I can understand that. Because I remember when I was in preschool. Man, that was a bad time. I remember before preschool. Those are my first memories. Man, I go to Sean K's house, you know, and I'd show up and I'd go, hey Sean, I got a stick. And then that would be the whole day. Boy, we'd have so much fun. And then suddenly I was in kindergarten. I don't know how the hell I got there. There was a lot of tears. I remember that. And then I was just looking out the window and like, what happened? Like, it was such a weird experience. I could see the stick, you know. It was just so tough, you know. I was like, oh God. I remember the first time the weekend was coming. My first weekend was I'm like, the weekend, finally, I can get back to real life with Sean K, you know, and the stick. I go, this is great. And then the teacher goes, oh yes, we're gonna send some problems home. You know, you got some problems. And they give me problems, and then I would go, excuse me, just a point of order here. The thing is this, I'm 5 years old, and I don't have any problems. That's the good thing about being 5, you know, you don't have any problems. You want to fuck the principal. I know all about your guys' problems, but me, I'm 5, no problems. And the teacher, well, now you got them. Here you go. It's a big book full of problems you got to solve. Problems were a lot easier later when I found out that the answers were in the back of the book upside down. Once you crack that code, you know, upside down in the back of the book. You get a little lazy. I'm going to leave you with a joke because I think it's in my contract. No, I love this joke. I thought I'd tell it to you. And then I'll go. But you guys have been fantastic. Thanks so much for coming out. Give everybody a hand. Here's the joke. This is the greatest joke. You can tell this joke to your friends. I guarantee it's the greatest joke there is. I guarantee it. And it's not one of these jokes, you know, that stand-ups tell where you know, they can't even repeat it. You got to go to your buddy. Hey, I got a dog. You know, that doesn't work. So this is a joke where a guy says something, another fella, and there's a bar. You know, there's no bar in this, but you know, you get the idea. A woman says to her boyfriend, "Hey, honey, does my ass look fat in this dress?" And the guy says, "Now listen, I'll be completely honest with you if that's what you want, but you have to promise me not to get angry no matter what I say." She goes, "No, tell me." He goes, "Okay, I'm fucking your sister."